Hello, Lisa.
Hey, Adam.
Last time we were talking, you were showing me the work that you had done on Neil Armstrong's suit, but now I'm in your workspace. I see you've got his house here, too.
Yes, this is the Columbia Apollo 11 command module, the only piece that came back from space during Apollo 11. And this was the center house transport vehicle for all three astronauts. And then when Mike Collins orbited space while Neil and Buzz were on the moon.
Just the idea of three human beings inside this thing is a little upsetting.
It was really close and comfortable.
I can't even imagine.
Right.
So what is this doing on your workbench? What are you guys doing with this thing?
So this is also scheduled to go downtown to the new gallery, Destination Moon. Mm-hmm. For the first time it's going to be ever. It's going to be in the same gallery with Neil Armstrong's spacesuit. Right
amazing.
Next to each other. Yep. So we're really super excited about that. But last time you were here, this was traveling around the country.
Yep.
It's come back. We were retrofitting it for its new display stand, so it's going to be banked at an angle again.
Oh, nice.
So this transport stand that you see, which is
the loveliest transport stand I have ever seen.
It's pretty intricate. So this is an original Apollo transport stand, refurbished. It was NASA had given it to us to transport our spacecraft around on. It bolts through the command module.
Oh, it does.
Using the same holes that you would have attached it to the Saturn V rocket. So when it was on top of the rocket stack, you would have used the same connectors and then it put on here. The only thing different is we added forklift pockets and these amazing two-spec NASA casters. So we can wheel it around when we're working on it. We could get it in and out of the different venues where we traveled it to on our road show.
Wow. And this is literally how it came back from the moon, with all the burning here from re-entry.
So NASA did a decontamination when it first arrived because it was the first of first. They wanted to make sure they got all the germs off. Took off the extra Kapton and coverings that were on it. So when you see them on splashdown in those historic pictures, they'll have gold covering, Kapton and things on it. The tapes. So the tapes were removed. You can see faint lines that we found during the cleaning of where all the tapes were applied to the surfaces. Yes. All of the sort of markings or the old adhesive residues that were never cleaned off. Wow. So I've mapped them all. And you can especially see it here, which is quite cool, at this angle where all the tapes were applied. So they did strip that off. But all of the other battle scars, markings, burn marks from re-entry, they're all original. All of these little pockets, I think we talked about this last time. Mm-hmm. So these are pre-flight repairs where they were testing the heat shield. Pieces. And if they did radiology on the heat shield after it was applied. And if they found like a air hole or an anomaly in the material, they actually drilled it out and replugged it. So those are all pre-flight.
When I'm doing my various replications, and I've talked to you about this off camera, that I always end up with a feeling of a real connection to the original builders, just because I'm traveling in similar paths. Do you end up with the same thing after mapping this out? You feel like connected to the original makers?
Yeah, and it's really nice because, I've said this to you before. These are our primary artifacts and evidence of what happened during those flights. This is our history, record, and book.
Yeah.
NASA can record everything they want. They did all the technical manuals of what was supposed to happen with each artifact, each suit, each capsule. But, really the story is here. So if we take that story away, we're not going to have the evidence of flight or the evidence of change or evolution from their original intent when it went to space. And I love bringing out those stories because it does make you feel very close to the materials and the artifacts and knowing how things were made, and each command module evolved after that. So there's changes. Yeah, like this heat shield is very bulked out because it was the first one. Huh. And they didn't know how it would do during re-entry. So they've added all this ablative material is much thicker than on any of the other command modules we have.
And it was made to burn. It was made to burn so it kept heat out of the
And it just came off. That's why you see all this residue down here. Yeah. This is all ablative material now sort of creeping out of this matrix. You see evidence on the heat shield up here from re-entry. So this was the real point of re-entry, where you see completely all these burn marks coming up the craft.
So that's the leading edge.
Yeah, and it came in like an angle when it hit the ocean. This is the umbilical that separated it from the service module upon re-entry. It was guillotined off manually.
Oh, really? Oh my God, that's all wiring.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Wow.
Covered in copper corrosion, but they're little micro, you can see all these little dots and
I do.
wire sheathing. And
So do you need to do any more restoration to this, or are you just prepping it for display?
I'm just cleaning it up a bit more.
Okay.
I have some work to do inside because I left it when it went on the show.
You get to do some work inside?
Yeah, some work inside,
Oh.
which we can peer into. It's very tight in there, but the paint on the interior walls was a very inorganic fire retardant paint. After the Apollo 1 fire, they changed a lot of the materials.
Sure.
And it has no binder in it. So it's basically like if you were to take glass balloons and rods and suspend them in the least amount of binder you can and color it, that's the paint. So right now it's
like a pigment just sitting there?
Yeah, it's coming off of the walls a little bit, but we don't want to do a treatment if we don't have to.
Right.
So we're going to look into that a little bit more because we have some time.
That's fascinating.
And then, we're always documenting. So every time I look at this, like you say, I learn something more.
Yeah.
Keep on documenting because once it goes downtown into its display case, we won't have as much access to it ever again.
Right.
So the middle seat belonged to Michael Collins.
Yep.
The left was Neil's and the right was Buzz. Those seats collapse forward, so in the back, you can actually stand up in the spacecraft.
Oh, wow.
And that's where Michael Collins used his telescope and octant that you see the windows for on the side over there. Stood up in the back and then could navigate the ship in orbit.
There's just nothing quite equates to seeing how small the space is to really let it sink in how remarkable the achievement is.
A lot of stuff in here compared to those newer spacecraft
Yes.
going. Like I look at them and I'm like, wow, they're really clean and empty.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was really amazing. And then you can see all the infrastructure. So we don't have the hatch on it clearly.
Yep.
But you see all the infrastructure with the hinge and the arm and the mechanism where that would have been so they could open the hatch outward, which was the change in the Block 1 schedule. So.
And you're not putting the hatch on this for display?
No, we'll have that displayed separately. Because so many people like to see.
My hatch would fit on here?
Yes, it would. We should try it. Especially with the plexi.
Exactly. I was thinking, I can't imagine a more exciting project than Neil Armstrong's suit, and now you show me this.
It is pretty amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's really an interesting project, and I've really enjoyed learning about it. Because, like you say, my thing was suits, and then I got lucky enough to do Gemini 4 and Friendship 7, and then this, so those are the big three.
Amazing.
Spacecraft, and they're all different.
Lisa, I just feel like so thrilled. Thank you for showing this to me.
Sure.
Amazing.